Welcome to the Kent Lap Podcast.
Man, I think over the past week, um, obviously I've been through various emotions, right? And so I think the first one, I was kind of a little kind of like not again. Um, I don't know if I don't know if I went into uh, life after the last one thinking that this will not happen again. And so um, when when the news started breaking, Um, I think one of my emotions was, um, okay, let me back up. So I teach at Williamson College. I'm a
Mhm.
professor. One of the classes that I teach is an urgent call to biblical unity.
Mm.
Um, and so I walk my students through first the biblical foundation for why this discussion is even necessary. And then we go into probably a 4 to 5 week trek through American history, the way it should have been recorded. Um,
Mm.
and then we end with, so now what? So in the course of me teaching this course, I kind of flow through the same emotions as I did last week, and that is, God, I know you've called me to kind of walk in this space um, for such a time as this. I don't know how long. Believe me, I've tried to get out of it because it's too difficult. Um, but I also go through is this, I guess, seasons of hopelessness after reading the history of our country. And I know many people say we've come so far, but we have so far to go. And the issue of these kinds of um, uh, disparities and these issues of brutality that are continuing to happen, it kind of throws you back. It's like, man, what am I doing? Like, what am I really making a difference?
Mhm.
That's the question that I had last week. And then there's some anger. And, the difficulty with being in this space is, as a black man, I don't have the right to be angry because then I have fed into the stereotype of black men, right? I've always got to operate in this space with a smile. When in actuality, if anybody else was upset or about an issue, they could express their emotions rightly,
Yeah.
right? And so you kind of you vacillate between these emotions of, man, I believe God is more powerful than this social construct called race in this country. I believe that.
Mhm.
But then it's also one of those things where, I don't know if you've had these conversations with God, but it's like, God, I know you can do it, but will you do it?
Mhm.
Right? I mean, we've suffered in this country for so long.
Mhm.
And yes, we have seen some strides towards that beloved community that Martin Luther King Jr. talked about. But again, these kinds of issues continue to happen. So, man, I just vacillated between, man, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
do I continue? Part of me wanted to call our president at the college and say, man, I'm just done.
Yeah.
I don't think any of this is going anywhere.
Mhm.
And part of that feeling was just my disappointment, um, my anger at the fact that these two gentlemen lynched this black man and went home and watched television.
For 74 days.
Yeah, with no ramifications at all, like
No
nothing.
no parole, no stay on your property,
No arrest.
no arrest, no
No.
come down to see us
Yeah.
at the precinct. Nothing.
Yeah, and so, in my opinion, that just tells me where those in power still remain
Mhm.
on this issue of race. The fact that they could do that
Right.
and be okay and go to sleep the next. I'm talking about prosecutors. I'm talking about all the folks who had a part in these two gentlemen
Yep.
not being held accountable for what they did.
Mhm.
And so, and you just shake your head and you're like, and so, and then this rush of, um, of responsibility then comes on me. Like, dude, you're not being watered down with hoses. You're not being beaten. You do have rights that some of your forefathers didn't. The stuff that they died for. So get up and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's when I began to just post a lot of stuff on my page on Facebook. Just, I try not to post to evoke any like visceral emotion. I try to post to compel people to think differently.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people, and if I do get visceral comments on my page, I just delete them because that's
Okay.
not my purpose.
Right.
My purpose is to really get you to think differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on all sides, black,
Yep.
white, Latinx, whatever.
Yep.
And so that's where I've been.
Yeah.
It's been an emotional roller coaster.